Hi, it's Rob Cameron from Ignition Coaching, and here I am again walking along the canal. Perhaps I ought to call these Cameron's canal side chats or conversations. So I seem to do a lot of walking on the canal having good ideas. But anyway, that's by the by. This morning I saw a post on Facebook that was posted by a guy I know about an interview that was conducted with a lady called Nicky Morgan in 2014. And at the time she was the UK's Education Secretary, and the article was about how students, probably at sort of GCSE level, who were selecting arts as career options or subject options, were actually restricting their choices for future employment. And that got me to thinking how they're actually restricting themselves. But then I thought, well, actually people who are artistic and creative are probably less restricted than people who are very logical and sort of scientific based, but that's probably a wrong assumption as well. But it did get me to thinking about at a sort of more abstract level how each moment of every day we make choices. Each and every one of us makes choices probably every second of every minute of every hour of every day, which limit us and restrict us in some way. Because in making a decision on choosing one course of option, we potentially close ourselves down to an infinite number of possibilities at that particular point in time. But as I thought about that, my mind raced on to actually, where is the biggest potential cause of restriction and limitation in our life? And where I came to is that potentially where we restrict ourselves most is up here in our thinking, and where we have limiting beliefs. And in all manner of life, all beliefs are limiting. So in believing one thing, we shut ourselves potentially down to what the other options are. So the question I ask myself is, what am I doing in my thinking or in how I approach things? What am I doing to limit myself? In way I approach things, in the way I live my life, what am I doing to restrict myself? And what might I do differently? So I'd like to sort of open the invitation to you to consider, what are you doing in the way you think? What are you doing in the way perhaps that you make choices and decisions that are potentially limiting you? And what, if anything, might you do differently to open up your thinking, open up possibility and open up choice for yourself? And I can think of lots of occasions in my life where, particularly around things like career changes or potential career changes, where I've had lots of opportunity, particularly when I was younger and the world was my oyster, where I allowed my ego or allowed my thinking to get into restrictive thinking, into restrictive thinking, where I'd allowed the things that might go wrong, things that might not be right, things that might happen, to stop me making decisions and stop me from making decisions that might have opened up very different career paths and very different possibilities. So there's my invitation for you. What are you doing, or what are you potentially doing to limit your choices? What are you thinking that might be restricting your options? And what, if anything, might you do differently? So that's enough for today. It's Rob Cameron. Speak to you again soon.